Follow the trend, tend to benefit while avoiding harm. Hello everyone, this is Mr. D. Today I want to give you a brief introduction to the images represented by the 12 slideshows. Just like every heavenly stem has a palace to reside in, every slideshow also has his own home. The palace where the heavenly stem resides is the terrestrial branch. The home of the slideshow is a combination of the heavenly stem and the terrestrial branch. Why does the slideshow need to have his own home? Because when we know what the slideshow's home is, we also know how to convert the slideshow into the terrestrial branch. For example, because the home of the Lord of Heaven is Jichou, which is VB, the terrestrial branch B will also have some attributes and images of the Lord of Heaven, and we can even treat B as the Lord of Heaven sometimes. If the symbol of the heaven plate is B and the slideshow on it is the Lord of Heaven, we call this combination the slideshow returning to his own home. Regarding the order of the 12 slideshows, there is such a saying that there are 5 in the front and 6 in the back. The position of the Lord of Heaven is in the center because it is the leader of the 12 slideshows. The position of 5 slideshows in front of the Lord of Heaven. The first is the winged snake. The second is the vermilion bird. The third is the sixth combination. The fourth is the Hawk-Chen, and the fifth is the Azure Dragon. The position of 6 slideshows behind the Lord of Heaven. The first is the hollow sky, the second is the white tiger, the third is the great tradition, the fourth is the black tortoise, the fifth is the great clandestine, and the sixth is the queen of heaven. The slideshows in the front represent things on the bright side, and the slideshows in the behind represent things in the secret side. We can use this conclusion as a reference. The Lord of Heaven has a very important position among the 12 slideshows, and we must pay attention to this point. In order for you to use Liu Ren to predict the future as soon as possible, I will give a general introduction to the images represented by each of the 12 slideshows. Regarding their detailed introduction, I will make a separate video for each introduction of the 12 slideshows in the future. The Lord of Heaven means that something good will happen and someone in danger will be rescued. A very influential and wealthy person. The home of the Lord of Heaven is VB. It represents auspicious. The number it represents is 8. The color it represents is yellow. The images it represents include government officials, people of wealth and influence, elders, salaries, articles, jewelry, treasures, cattle, grains, and hemp. The winged snake represents frightening, weird, false things, fraud. The home of the winged snake is TF. It represents ominous. The number it represents is 4. The color it represents is red. The images it represents include fire, blood, panic, weird, illusory, false, hypocritical, treacherous, change, dream, entanglement, vicious, text, villain, snake, millet, swelling, rope, chain. The vermilion bird represents things about articles and seals, quarrels or lawsuits with others. The home of the vermilion bird is SG. It represents half auspicious and half ominous. The number it represents is 9. The color it represents is red. The images it represents include articles, seals, documents, letters, news, ads, rumors, slanders, abuse, villains, horses, birds, fruits, fire, litigation, contention, dispute. The sixth combination represents things of marriage and transactions, things that need to be hidden and not made public. The home of the sixth combination is RD. It represents auspicious. The number it represents is 6. The color it represents is cyan. The images it represents include marriage, celebration, cooperation, union, banquet, transaction, intermediary, media, matchmaking, group. Things that need to be hidden and not made public. Ambiguous, warlock, craftsman, descendants, friends, matchmakers, broker, rabbits, bamboo and wood. The Hukchen represents the delay and entanglement of things related to litigation and prison. The home of the Hukchen is UE. It represents ominous. The number it represents is 5. The color it represents is yellow. The images it represents include law fighting, collusion, litigation, prison, cruelty, military disaster, hunting, arresting, bruises, stagnation, branch out, generals, pawns, a person who catches criminals, jailers, villains, fields and houses, ichthyosaurs. The Hydra Dragon represents wealth and promotion, celebration and banquet, husband. The home of the Hydra Dragon is QC. It represents auspicious. The number it represents is 7. The color it represents is green. The images it represents include wealth, promotion, festival feasts, marriage, childbirth, banquets, peach blossom luck, wealthy people, officials, landowners, husband, property, good clothes, tigers and leopards, civet cats, rice valleys, forest trees. The hollow sky represents things of hypocrisy and deception, fraud and framing. The home of the hollow sky is UK. It represents ominous. The number it represents is 5. The color it represents is yellow. The images it represents include hypocrisy, deception, fraud, frame up, slander, empty talk, lie, boasting, slaves, ugly woman, villains, dogs and wolves, hollow metal products. The white tiger represents things about authority, disease, death, and misfortune. The home of the white tiger is WI. It represents ominous. The number it represents is 7. The color it represents is white. The images it represents include disaster of the bloodlight, killings, tortures, disasters, disease, death, hatreds, military disasters, unexpected disaster, departed relatives, roads, authority, staunch with moral integrity, bravery, powerful, patience, apes, wheat, hemp, metal products. The great tradition represents great wealth, rich food, gorgeous clothes, and festival banquets. The home of the great tradition is VH. It represents auspicious. The number it represents is 8. The color it represents is yellow. The images it represents include clothing, wealth, wine and food, banquets, celebrations, weddings, articles, seals, military officer, bedding, cotton and linen, sheep, hire, orphan, habits. The black tortoise represents conspiracy and deception, about theft and loss. The home of the black tortoise is ZL. It represents ominous. The number it represents is 4. The color it represents is black. The images it represents include smart, wise, secretive, unclear, treacherous, conspiracy, deception, fraud, thief, villain, pig, being objects, dizziness, coma. The great clandestine represents secrets, keep secret, and things that need to be done in secret. The home of the great clandestine is XJ. It represents auspicious. The number it represents is 6. The color it represents is white. The images it represents include secrets, keep secret, concealment, marriage, celebration, things that need to be done in secret, obscure, treacherous, prurience, concubine, mistress, chicken, wheat, fine small metal objects, jewelry and jade. The Queen of Heaven represents rewards and favors, things about marriage and childbirth. The home of the Queen of Heaven is PA. It represents auspicious. The number it represents is 9. The color it represents is black. The images it represents include rewards, favors, pardons, celebrations, marriage, childbirth, things that need to be done in secret, treacherous, fornication, rich woman, wife, mouse, bats, swallow, rice, beans, woman's supplies. The above are the things and meanings represented by the 12 slideshows. Don't worry about how they came about, but remember the meaning behind them. You may be confused why different slideshows have the same image. Each slideshow has a main image. When we predict the development of something, we refer more to the main image represented by this slideshow. For example, the main image of the Lord of Heaven is an influential and wealthy person. When we predict whether we can get help from others, we mainly look at the state of this slideshow and its position. The main image of the black tortoise is thief and lost. When we predict about recovering the lost things, we mainly look at the state of this slideshow and its position. In the initial stage of using Liu Ren, please focus more on the main image of the 12 slideshows. With your deep understanding of each slideshow, when you predict different things, you will judge the different images represented by the same slideshow. Subscribe. Be your own prophet.